Hermione. I received 2 owls this morning that really alarmed me. The first one was from George, and as it was addressed to me and not to Ron, made me suspect straight away something was wrong. As I opened and perused it, my heart sank. It was as follows. Hi, Hermione. I'm writing to ask for your return to England straight away. I'm worried about Harry. The guy is going downhill pretty fast. I've been to his place this morning and I grew alarmed. It seems not to be himself, and he's definitely abusing alcohol. He cannot stay alone, even if he insists upon it. You are the only one that can impose on him. You have been his best friend for years. You must help him now. Don't go to him straight away. Pass from my place first. I need to speak to you, face to face. If the wanker dares to complain, tell him from me I'm going to kick his arse. Get back as soon as possible, George. The second one was from Ted. Dear Hermione, I hope you are well. I'm aware it is not long you are back to Romania, but I must ask you to return to England as soon as you can. Harry is in a somewhat dangerous condition, mental and physical. I have a very bad feeling. He is very much changed, and, as you can imagine, not for the best. He seems bent to destroy himself. He feels Ginny's death dreadfully, and I fear of what he could do if left by himself. I know I'm asking you a big sacrifice. I know that you must take care of Hugo, but right now you are the only person who can help him. I'm also very aware of how Ron will take it. You must impress on his mind how serious this is. If only for old time's sake, he must let you go. If you decide to come, it's very important you should pass for my place first before going there. Hoping to get a positive answer. Edward Lupin. I'm packing my luggage. I've already sent an owl to Ron to hurry his return so he can take care of Hugo, and I'll be off. There is not a minute to lose. As a matter of fact, I was ready for this step, as Harry didn't answer to any of my letters either, and I was growing worried. I hope I'll be able to do something for him. Just after lunch, I've been to pick up Hugo from school. I explained to him I was going to be away for some time to take care of Uncle Harry. His expression sobered. Is he not well? No, he's not. He's suffering for the death of Aunt Ginevra and needs some company. He's not a good person. I startled surprise in hearing this, and I asked explanation. Dad told me he's not. He said that Aunt Ginny should never have married him. I was aghast. What is Ron thinking telling those things to a 9-year-old boy? Hugo, that is wrong. Uncle Harry is a very good person. Hasn't he been always nice with you? He used to make you play very often. He taught you all those muggle sports. Do you remember? I wonder if he does. It all happened before Lily. He hasn't seen much of him after then. Hugo nodded uncertain. Yeah, I remember. With Lily. I caressed his head consolingly, seeing him darkening. I decided to play the Voldemort card since it seems to me of the utter importance Hugo having good feelings toward his uncle. He has defeated you-know-who. You studied in school. You know how wicked he was. Do you think Uncle Harry can be bad after having done something so great? I saw Hugo falter undecided. This is a strong point in favor of Harry. I told him not to mention at school we are related because I don't want them to make the connection with the Lily's accident. News of it had circulated all around the world, even here, but not as massively as in England. Nevertheless, he's quite proud to be his nephew. Why did Dad say so then? he asked in the end. I spoke, weighing carefully my words. Because he's suffering too for the death of Aunt Ginevra, and sometimes adults need to find somebody to blame to be able to bear the distress. So much truth in this sentence. It encloses the war relationship of those two in the last 3 years. Once at home, I waited for Ron, quite upset. When he got there, I told him the gist of the 2 letters and I explained him my intention of leaving at once. For how long? He asked, frowning. I don't know. How long it'll need. Ron darkened. So, now, just because everybody is so concerned about marvelous Harry Potter, you have to leave your family and run to him? I flashed. Yes, exactly. He's a friend. And if I can help him, I will. All right, fine, he said, spiteful. If you are so in love with your precious Harry, go. Perhaps now that she managed to get rid of Ginny might even marry you. There is only me in the way, and we both know. My hand left the side of my body before I was even aware of it. I slapped him hard, not waiting the end of the sentence. Don't you dare to say something like that again. Don't you dare to accuse him of it. The poor man loved her so much and now he's in agony, and you dare to... I couldn't complete the sentence, angry tears cramming my eyes and choking my voice. I gulped. You are vile, and don't you dare to speak ill of him in front of Hugo and Rose again, or I promise you I'll make your life a living hell. Ron was surprised by my reaction. His face turned angry, but he didn't answer back. He only left the room, slamming the door behind him. I took my luggage, and I bade goodbye to Hugo. I didn't deem necessary to bother with the same to Ron, and I was off through the fireplace. It didn't take me long to reach England. Fortunately, the trip has been smooth. I go to George first to see what he needs to tell me. I'm really beyond myself with alarm now, and quite scared too. George was glad to see me so soon. I wasn't sitting yet. He was already starting to warn me against Harry. You'll find him quite changed, unrecognizable. He's scary. I was a bit concerned in asking you to go there because he seems a bit dangerous, but I'm sure it wouldn't hurt you. I was frightened by this description. What do you mean by dangerous? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I don't know, he shrugged uneasy. He's very aggressive. Aggressive? I repeated stupidly. A bit like a wild animal. He added, busying himself with all what clattered at his table not to look at me, clearly uneasy in stating what he did next. You should keep your wand always at hand. I just left Andromeda and Ted's house. Ted warned me too, but in a different fashion. He talked to me in private. Hermione, you'll find him much changed. I was very undecided if contacting you. I don't know how wise it can be for you to go there, but I couldn't think to any other solution. He doesn't even want as much as to see me. He seemed pained by it, but I'm sure we both know why Harry doesn't want to see him. Unfortunately, Ted has this gift, in this case curse, to make one introspective. His eyes are a bit like a mirror. They show you what you have got inside. And right now, Harry, it's not ready to see what Ted's eyes are mirroring back. I go, Ted, no matter what. Let's keep in mind that I'm his senior, not the other way around. We are too prone to forget he's only 23. He faltered at taking the cup in front of him, turning in his hands and then sitting back, and finally looking at me. Between other things, I'm also scared he might try to hurt you. Don't worry, Ted. I can take care of myself, and it's anyway Harry we are talking about. Still hesitating, he stood up to check the door was indeed closed, despite only Andromeda's in the house, and I'm pretty sure she's not the kind of person who goes eavesdropping. He's not the Harry we are used to, Hermione. I met George. He told me what happened when we went there. He's drinking a lot, and I've got the feeling it is not the only altering substance he's abusing of. He's not himself. He was quite sedate with me, but I fear that if challenged, he might turn out to be quite dangerous. I gulp, concerned. You are the only person that can stand up. You are the only person who can stand up to it. You are the only person who can stand up to him. I wouldn't have asked you if I could think about anybody else. He was very much agitated, which is odd from him. Hermione, there is something else. By then I was prepared to hear anything, but not what she told me next. There is a reason why I was so hesitant in asking you for help. There is a reason why I was so hesitant in asking for your help. Why? I asked, puzzled. Perhaps because of Ron? I know you are in love with him, Harry told me in confidence. I couldn't help but blush. Be careful, please. He is in a very delicate frame of mind. Just be a friend to him, nothing else. He might try for something more, but you don't have to fall for it. As I said, he's not himself, he's confused. I might almost say deranged by Ginny's death. Don't entangle yourself in an unhealthy relationship. He might lead to ruin for both of you. He had a stern gaze, and once more I was at a loss for words. Do I have the strength to say no if he offers himself to me? But that is right. If I haven't got it, I must find it. I'm in front of his door. I cannot deny that I'm nervous. He's in there. The light is on. I knock, and nothing happens. I knock again. Nobody comes at the door. I start to knock insistently, my mind already swirling with the nefarious premonition. They end up in being wrong. He opens the door. Shirtless. My God! I succeed with difficulty moving my gaze from his midriff to his chest and finally to his face. He looks okay. A little careworn, maybe. He hasn't shaved, and I can see a shadow under his eyes. But on the wall, I would say he looks fine. Better than usual, actually. This white look suits him. I pause to reflect at the injustice reserved for us women. Why, when we leave ourselves go, we look like monsters, and when men do the same, they just look sexier? It's unfair. He gives me one of his most charming smiles. Hey, Hermione, such a surprise. What are you doing here? How's it going? I'm taken aback. I was expecting a totally different reception. I don't exactly know what I was expecting, but not this cheerfulness. While I'm struggling to find my voice, he pulls me inside. Come on in. You're in perfect time. You can join us. Join us? Who's here? He leaves me at the entrance and goes to the living room. I quickly follow, and when I get there, my blood chills in my veins. There are two women there. Two not very much dressed women sitting on the sofa. He goes to them, and they gather to him like bees on honey, looking at me curiously, but not very disturbed by my presence. Harry, what are you doing? I ask, bewildered. What does he look like? He answers with a grin, while one of the girls is basically eating him alive. Who are these women? Good question. He lifts the face of one of them, very much occupied in learning his body by heart, looking studiously in her eyes. But then he shrugs. In the end, who cares? Starting to kiss her neck voluptuously, unlatching her bra with a swift move. Caresses are starting to be more audacious and I panic. I don't want to assist to this. Do you want to come or do you prefer to watch? Harry says, pausing a moment from the general groping. I try to shout, but my voice is coming out in a broke shrill. Harry, you cannot! Why not? I've got definitely enough energy for all of you. And bringing one of them down on the sofa, he says, smiling lustily, and you will be first. She giggles, and thrusting a hand in his pants, she managed to make my panic soar in a bolt, unlocking me from my paralysis. Harry, stop this instant! I shout with all my voice. He lifts his head surprised, and now I realize his gaze is strange. Why? Stop! Stop! I order him, pulling him away from the girl. I want you to stop! Hermione, what are you doing? He replies, upset. I must be drastic. I take my wand, pointing it straight to his chest. If you don't stop, I'll stun you. The two women start to giggle. They're probably muggles, but I don't care. I won't allow him to go any farther. I can see a glimpse of something menacing in his eyes, but it goes away quite fast. Okay, he just says, girls, I must ask you to leave. My friend here wants the exclusive. And he smiles, winking, but it's a malicious smile, and I don't lower my wand. A bitter complaint booms in the room, but my murderous expression is a strong enough inducement, and they start to dress sulkily. I follow them to the door, my wand in my hand, ready to perform any spell I judge necessary. While they are leaving, Harry whispers to me. What memory do we want to leave them? A dinner in a fancy restaurant? Is it good enough? Or perhaps I should give them the fuck they didn't get. As a consolation, you know. I'm totally incapable to give any answer, stunned by the coarseness and confused by the meaning, but it doesn't wait for Henny. He takes his wand swiftly and starts to pronounce an incantation on them. A confundus charge, it seems. He's implanting them a different memory. This is so totally illegal. One cannot go swiping memories from people like that. Although, when he closes the door, I feel a quiver of fear on my back. He has definitely a strange gaze. His pupils are oddly dilated. So, what do you want to do? He asks, eager, returning back to the living room. I guess sex is out of the question. He starts to pace up and down the room. I don't answer, trying to understand what is going on, and my eyes fell on the table. So, what do you want to do? He repeats, keeping going up and down, taking big breaths. I feel great. I want to do something. There is something on it, quite recognizable, and I start to understand what I'd rather prefer not to. What's this? He glances at it insouciantly, but seeing my consternated expression, laughs, amused. Come on, Hermione. What do you think it is? I know you have always been a Miss Perfect, but you lived in the Muggle world as well as I. I'm aghast by this answer that confirmed my suspicion. Harry, are you crazy? Why are you using this stuff? It's poison. It's great. I feel great. Get some. Be my guest. There is enough to have a great night. No, Harry. Now you will sit down and you calm yourself. I order stern, but he's not even listening to me. I'm going for a ride, he exclaimed out of the blue, dashing out of the room. I ran after him scared. "No, Harry, you cannot! There are too many people around! Somebody might spot you!" "Nobody's going to see me. I'll be fast." And she takes one of his brooms out of the cupboard. "No, you don't go anywhere!" I shout, standing in front of him in the hallway with my wand on him. Despite that, he almost seems inclined in pushing me away, but thankfully he desists. He drops the broom. "Okay, all right. What do we do then?" "What about nothing?" "Can't. Too much energy. I'll do workout." He returns to the living room and he starts push-up. I observe him frightened at this behavior is disturbing. Profiting of his distraction, I make disappear all illicit substances from the room. This place is a mess. There are clothes scattered everywhere, empty bottles and dirty glasses all over. "Are you sure you don't want to have sex? I feel full of energy. We could have a great shag, you know," he says without pausing in his exercise, but throwing me such a dirty look I feel suddenly a worm very precisely located. However, I've got still my wits about me strongly enough to answer a decided negative. Nevertheless, better to leave the room, just to be safe. The testosterone is too high, better to stay away. The kitchen is barely better. The mess is unbelievable here too. The fireplace has been boarded up. That's why nobody has been able to contact him. I'm alarmed by the quantity of alcohol's empty bottles. There are also vials that surely contain potions. I sniff a sweet scent that doesn't ring any bell. Another issue that will need to be solved. I start to tidy up and clean. It takes quite a long time. As a last thing, I free the fireplace and I light up a fire in it. Better? I slouch down on a chair exhausted. While I'm sitting there reflecting that I must do the same with the living room, I register the silence. A bit too absolute, and it concerns me. No sound whatsoever is coming from the lounge. I go to check cautiously, prepared for anything. But he is simply on the floor, immobile, staring at the ceiling in stupor. I kneel close to him. "Harry, are you okay?" He looks at me. His eyes dull, but at least his pupils are back to a normal size. "Hermione," he whispers. "Yes?" It doesn't say anything. His head drops again, listless on the rug. As he closes his eyes, his chest going up and down with a heavy breathing. "Harry," I caress his head, feeling an age getting hold of me. "Come on, stand up. I cannot lift you. Lie on the sofa. I'll make you some food." "I'm not hungry, and I haven't got the strength to stand up. I don't feel well. I'll stay here for a bit." "Okay, I'll stay here with you." I lie close to him on the floor, encircling him with my arms. His skin is icy, and his body is struck by a slight trembling. I grasp the blanket on the sofa, rubbing him to try to bring back some warmth. On achieving it, I slip under the blanket with him, feeling a desolation growing in me. I was wrong in leaving him alone. I should have stayed here in London. We lie on the rug for a while. I feel him relaxing by degree under the influx of my endless cuddles, the torpor leaving him slowly. It's not long before he starts to respond to the snuggling. It's pleasant to be nestled on his side, exchanging tenderness. But when he eases himself up on his elbow, looking at me on the floor, a bit too fixedly, his hands getting a bit too bold, I sprint up quickly. Disappointed, he pleads me. Don't go away. Stay here with me. My God, those green eyes! I'm just going to prepare some dinner. I know you're not hungry, but you must eat something. Lie on the sofa. I'll be back. I can feel his gaze following me, but I cannot allow myself to run any risk. I can clearly see he's not himself. There is something missing in his eyes. There is a scary hollowness haunting that gaze. I start to make some dinner with what I find in the kitchen, which is not much. While concentrating on the task ahead, my mind making the point of the situation. He storms in the room, his expression totally different. Finally, I understand what George meant. I take the wand from the table as a reflex. Where is it? He asked aggressively. What? You know what? And I understand. He's looking for what is swept away. I threw it away. You must not take that stuff. His whole person gets a shade of lividness, quite scary. You cannot tell me what I must or must not do? He growls. Give it back to me! He orders, walking toward me menacingly. No, I reply steady, pointing my wand at him. Give it to me, I said! He snarls, advancing ever closer. I wince, frightened, but I can sense I must not show any fear. I must not back away. I'll stun him, if I must. He needs to understand I won't allow him to scare me. No, Harry, I won't give it to you. He lunges toward me, but I was expecting it. Protego! I shout, and the shield erupting from my wand is so strong he is pushed backward of 2 or 3 feet. He keeps his ground, however, and looks aimlessly at me. Give it to me! In a low growl. My heart is pumping fast with dread, despite aware he cannot touch me with the shield on. I'm well protected, and now I must show him he cannot impose on me. If you try to attack me, I promise you, I'll make you regret to be born. I said, marking every word and sustaining his glare. I already regret to be born. He shouts, slamming his fist against the wall with force, making me jump in fright, and he's soon gone from the kitchen. I'm shaking all over. Who is this man? I keep my shield on as a precaution for half an hour. When nothing happens, and I don't hear any sound, I take it down and tiptoe to the living room to peer inside. He is on the sofa, sleeping. In his hand there is an empty vial. It doesn't take me long to make 2 + 2. All those empty vials are nothing less than sleeping potions. I've never trained as a healer, but I don't think it can be that good to take that many. And God only knows how many I already got. Together with alcohol and drugs, he's basically poisoning himself. I need to find where he keeps them and make them disappear. I tremble at the thought of when he will find out, but it must be done. I got here just in time. I ought to stop this madness before it's too late. After Voldemort's bringing down, I was afraid something of the kind might happen. I was prepared to intervene in such a case. However, as years stretched on, in a seeming quietness, I grew amazed at his capability to lead a normal life. An exceptionally strong mind, but there is a limit to everything, and he started to be dangerously close to it when Lily died. Everybody noticed he wasn't the same afterward. I guess his mind started to waver then. Slowly, he recovered, and I believe only thanks to Ginny's support. But now, he hasn't got anybody to support him. Well, I'll do my best to be that support, and what more, I'll do it without lulling myself with romantic fantasies. I'll do it as a friend. or I won't do it at all. My mind is occupied by determination mingled by gloom, reflecting on the situation. As I sat beside him, taking the vial from his hand, he looked so innocent while sleeping, so different from the person who tried to attack me less than 1 hour ago. I caressed his unshaved face, and I sighed. The poor man. He seems doomed for infelicity. Well, I've got a lot to do here before he awakes. The house is now clean. It took me 2 whole hours. I'm exhausted, but I still must find where he keeps the potions. I start to fumble in all the drawers and cupboards. I hesitate when in one of them I find crammed in several framed pictures. Family pictures. I realize now the walls are bare. He hid them here, and judging by the state of the frames, it hasn't been a quiet affair. I almost cut myself with some loose glass. Sadness pervades me. They look so happy in these pictures. Life has been very unfair with Harry. It's reserving him only challenges and hardships with very brief spaces of serenity. They only have the power to exasperate the sorrow now. I close the drawer and I keep looking for the potions, but only half-heartedly. I have to be honest. The only break he gets is in his sleep. I found them finally. They were in the kitchen under the sink. There must be at least 20 of them, plus the ones he already drank. How in the name of heaven he managed to get hold of so many, I have no idea. Some mangoes surely doesn't give them so easily, and absolutely not in these large quantities. I refuse to believe that he's procuring them. He must have found another way. I make them disappear, but for 2 or 3 I add somewhere else in case of emergency. I go upstairs to prepare for the night. I linger in front of his room where the bed is made. When I got there to clean, there was an unbelievable mess. Wardrobe, drawers, all were open, the contents scattered on the floor. Ginny's stuff had been removed. Molly did it right after Ginny died. She thought it was for the best. She didn't want Harry to affront that task in case he would have wake up. At the time, I thought it was wise. Today, finding the room in this condition, I'm not so sure of it any longer. He's not sleeping there anyway, and I can see why. My mind set itself on Ginny's memory. I know I'll miss her. She has always been such a good friend to me. Even when she found out about my sentiment for Harry, she has never stopped considering me a friend. There had been coldness at first. I saw how she tried to behave normally. But she has never been a person who can pretend all is good if it's not. I always liked her for it. She confronted me, and I had no choice but to admit it. She had been really hurt by it. I cannot blame her. I would have chopped my head off in her shoes. And rightly enough, for years I accepted Harry's tenderness, knowing that to me it had a totally different reception from his friendly intentions, and all under her very eyes. I allowed Harry to do it. I indulged in it. I paid him back with the same. I got profit of his naivety and of Ginny's trust. I'm indeed a horrible person. I tried to explain that I never and ever got profit of the situation, though, that Harry has always been blameless. And rather stupid, I might add as well. At first, she admitted quite honestly her incapacity to accept the situation, and she wasn't very happy about me seeing him. But Harry must have talked to her, and when she invited me for his birthday, we discussed it all over again. I assured her I wasn't a threat for them. I would have never sabotaged their relations. I'm not so stupid as to think I could be benefited by it in any way. Harry would have only been distraught, and it wouldn't have increased my chances with him in the slightest. He sees me only as a friend. I'm painfully barely a woman to his eyes. I know, Hermione, she just said. I'm sorry to have accused you of it. It was unfair. I trust you as I trust him. Go ahead, being the good friend you have always been to him. He needs you. All this forbearance and trust made indebted to her forevermore. I must help Harry for her sake also. I'm sure she would have expected me to step in. Everybody misses her so much. It has been rather a shock for Ron, and probably I failed in my role of a wife. I didn't offer him any comfort. I just had so much between my hands in those nights after her death. The magical community was in uproar. The minister was struggling to keep the situation under control. Hordes of people from all around the globe were converging to some mango trying to get in. Flu network in total blackout. People stuck in chimneys for hours. The street in front of the hospital was so jammed the minister had to contact the other minister to explain the situation and cover it with a muggle event so to be able to close the whole area to traffic. Angry mobs tried to force their way into the minister and into Azkaban in a clear attempt to find 854 for a lynching. Demonstration exploded here and there against the minister to have allowed this to happen. Apparently, there had been a shortage of staff in Azkaban and not enough funds to hire additional help. The Azkaban guard in charge for the shift has been suspended, which I'm rather sorry for, as he is a very good fellow and doesn't deserve it. Harry used to talk very highly of him. He has a family to maintain, the poor man, and it is not very likely he will be able to find another employment after a debacle of this kind. Prisoners getting a hint of the racket were uprising hourly, causing dangerous mayhems and increasing the risk of some more breakout. Every man and woman available have been called to help, me included. The little time off I got, it was dedicated to Molly to help her with the funeral. We had to ask for an additional permission to have the whole town evacuated by muggles. It has been pretended dangerous gas leaking. We had to cast thousands of spells on the cemetery to make sure the event remained private, because every single witch or wizard was even too aware that Ginny was going to be buried close to Lily, and many were stationed there as soon as the news of her death spread. Presents, letters and flowers needed to be collected from some mango store. And there was Harry, in a coma, with very little chances of waking up. When I wasn't working or not helping Molly, I sat by his side, focalizing all my remaining energies on him. Sometimes I was so exhausted I fell asleep, holding his hand. I didn't spend much time with Ron. Perhaps it has been a mistake on my side. It seems like everything else was more important. But reflecting on it now, in the quietness of this room, I can avow to myself that it shouldn't have been. I decided to sleep in James' room, as usual during my overnight stays in his house. I falter, closing the door. Do I have to lock me inside? It seems almost offensive in Harry's regard. But in the end, remembering his look, I decide it's better. I don't want to take any useless risk. I fall asleep, thinking about him, downstairs, stunned by the potion, for the last time.